Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Class 9 Maths Simplified. So, in the previous video, we studied rational and irrational numbers. In this video, we will understand decimal expansion of rational numbers, which is very important for exams and students often get confused here. So, our topic for today is basically decimal expansion of rational numbers. Okay, so let's start with our topic. First we'll understand the definition of decimal expansion. So, the representation of a rational number in decimal form is called its decimal expansion. So, basically किसी भी rational number को उसके decimal form में represent करने वाली चीज़ को decimal expansion बोलते हैं. Okay. So, the representation of a rational number in decimal form is called its rational number. If I give an example such as if a rational number we will take such as 1 by 4. So 1 by 4 is basically 0.25. So this is the representation of a rational number in decimal form. Okay, this is a rational number. 1 by 4 is a rational number. And 0.25 is the decimal representation of this rational number. Got it? So let's move forward and see the types of decimal expansion. Basically there are two types of decimal expansion of rational numbers. There are how many? There are two types of decimal expansion of rational numbers. They are basically the terminating decimal expansion, which I taught you in the previous lecture, and non-terminating repeating decimal expansion. Non-terminating repeating, highlight this word repeating. Okay, and I hope you guys remember, if a decimal expansion is a non-terminating repeating decimal like 0.444, if it is repeating, therefore this type of decimal expansion is basically a rational number. I hope you guys remember it from the previous lecture. Okay, is a rational number. And I hope you guys also remember that a terminating decimal basically are decimals which have an ending point, and these type of decimals are also known as rational numbers. Got it? Rational numbers. Okay, so let's move forward and see the definition and examples of terminating decimals. So a decimal expansion that ends after a finite number of digits. Basically कोई भी decimal expansion जो end हो रहा है finite number of digits, finite number थोड़े 3 4 5 6 decimal digit के बाद वो end हो रहा है, तो उसे बोलते हैं terminating decimal. Okay, कौन सा decimal? Terminating decimal. So a decimal expansion that ends after a finite number of digits is called a terminating decimal. You can correspond it or you can relate it with the name of the word terminating. Okay, so if I take an example of 1 by 8, so 1 by 8 is basically 0.125. So this is a terminating decimal. Okay, this is a terminating decimal, and this 1 by 8 is a rational number. Okay, so basically the decimal expansion of 1 by 8 is a terminating decimal, that is 0.125. Okay, so let's move forward and see what is a non-terminating decimal. Non-terminating repeating decimal is. Okay, non-terminating repeating. I hope you guys remember these type of decimal expansions are basically what? These types are rational numbers. Okay, जो भी नॉन टर्मिनेटिंग रिपीटिंग डेसिमल होते हैं वो रैशनल नंबर्स होते हैं. सो अ डेसिमल एक्सपेंशन दैट कंटिन्यूस एंडलेसली, बेसिकली जिसका कोई एंड ना हो, जिसका डेसिमल एक्सपेंशन कोई एंड ना हो, इट गोज टू एन इनफाइनाइट वैल्यू. ओके, एन इनफाइनाइट वैल्यू बट रिपीट्स अ पैटर्न ऑफ डिजिट्स. मतलब जो उसके डिजिट्स होते हैं वो रिपीट होते हैं. is called a non-terminating repeating decimal. ओके, कोई भी डेसिमल एक्सपेंशन जिसका कोई एंड ना हो, मतलब वो इन्फिनाइट नंबर ऑफ डिजिट्स हो उसके एक्सपेंशन में, बट उसके जो डिजिट्स, जो डेसिमल डिजिट्स हो वो रिपीट हो रहे हो, तो उसे क्या बोलते हैं हम लोग? नॉन टर्मिनेटिंग रिपीटिंग डेसिमल। और ये टाइप ऑफ डेसिमल्स क्या होते हैं? रैशनल नंबर्स। क्या होते हैं? रैशनल नंबर्स। ओके, so if I take an example of 1 by 3, so if we divide 1 by 3, the value is 0.333333. So this value is basically not ending, it is going to an infinite value. Okay, this 333. So this is this. So from this we can see that the number is not ending, not ending. Okay, not ending. And if, and we can also see that the numbers are repeating. Okay, repeating, numbers are repeating, hence we can say that it is a non-terminating repeating decimal. And these type of decimals are basically what? Rational numbers. Got it? So let's move forward and see the most important rule. Please highlight this most important rule. So first is, after simplifying, this is a very important line, after simplifying the rational numbers, basically आपको पहले simplify करना पड़ेगा rational numbers को, and then you need to check if the denominator has only prime factors 2 and slash or 5. बेसिकली इसका मतलब क्या होता है? अगर जो डिनोमिनेटर है उसका जो प्राइम फैक्टर्स हैं, या तो वो 2 हो, या तो वो 5 हो, या तो वो 2 और 5 दोनों हो। ओके, 2 एंड और 5 बेसिकली मीन्स लाइक this only. Okay, if the denominator has only prime factors 2 and or 5, the decimal expansion is what? The decimal expansion is basically terminating. Okay, highlight this word, terminating. So after, first is the main important thing is after simplifying, please don't forget simplifying the rational numbers before checking. So after simplifying the rational numbers, if the denominator has only prime factors 2 and slash or 5, basically या तो 2 हो, या तो 5 हो, या तो 2 और 5 दोनों हो, so then the decimal expansion is terminating. Got it? Similarly, if we take the second point, which is very important, if the denominator has any prime factor other than 2 or 5, मतलब बेसिकली उसका इस चीज़ का ऑपोजिट, इस चीज़ का व्हाट? इसका ऑपोजिट, इसका ऑपोजिट बेसिकली। ओके, इफ द डिनोमिनेटर हैज़ प्राइम फैक्टर्स अदर दैन 2 और 5, मतलब उसका जो डिनोमिनेटर हो आफ्टर सिंप्लीफाइंग, अगर उसका डिनोमिनेटर के जो प्राइम फैक्टर्स हो वो 2 और 5 के अलावा, जैसे कि 3, 7, 11, 13 ये सब आए, सो देन द डेसिमल एक्सपेंशन इज व्हाट? नॉन टर्मिनेटिंग रिपीटिंग डेसिमल एक्सपेंशन। गॉट इट? सो इसमें आपको क्या समझे आप? इसमें बेसिकली अगर हमको कोई भी नंबर दिया हो, पहले हमको उसको सिंप्लीफाई करना पड़े टू द लोएस्ट टर्म। आफ्टर सिंप्लीफाइंग टू द लोएस्ट टर्म, then you need to check for the denominator. If the denominator has only prime factors 2 and or slash or 5, basically 2 हो, 5 हो, या 2 और 5 दोनों हो, so तब उसका डेसिमल एक्सपेंशन क्या होगा? टर्मिनेटिंग होगा। Similarly, if then we'll check if the denominator has any prime factor other than 2 or 5, then the decimal expansion is non-terminating repeating. Got it? Very simple. Please remember this key rule. Okay, very important rule for judging whether a number is a rational or an irrational number. Okay, now if we take some examples, if we take an example of 1 by 8, so 1 by 8 is in the lowest term, we cannot simplify it further. Okay, then we'll check for the denominator. As you can say that the denominator is what? Denominator is 8. Okay, denominator is how much? 8. And we can say that the denominator can be written as 2 into 2 into 2, basically 2 cube. Okay, 2 cube. And we have earlier, and I have earlier taught you that if the denominator has the prime factors as 2 and or 5, so here the only factor is 2. Therefore, we can say that the number is what? Terminating. Got it? And if the number is terminating, it is what? It is basically a rational number. Got it? It is very simple. If we take another example of 7 by 40, okay, now we have to guess whether the number is a rational or an irrational number. So here it cannot be further simplified, so the denominator is 40 only. And 40 can be written as 2 cube into 5. Okay, so here we can see that the only factors are 2 and 5. And I have taught you earlier, if the prime factors has only if the denominator has prime factors 2 and or 5, या तो 2 हो या तो 5 हो या तो 2 और 5 दोनों हो. Okay, so here 2 और 5 दोनों हैं, so the number is what? Terminating decimal. And if the number is terminating, it is what? It is rational number. Very easy. Got it? If we take another example of 3 by 6, so here students generally do mistakes by not simplifying it. Okay, so first you need to simplify it. 3 by 6 can be written as what? 1 by 2. 3 by 6 can be written as 1 by 2, and here as denominator is 2, so the only prime factor is 2, and if the prime factor is 2, the number is what? Terminating. And if the number is terminating, it is what? It is a rational number. Very easy. But here the key point was to simplify it before solving or checking for the denominator. Got it? So let's move forward and see for another example as 5 by 7. Okay, so here we have seen that as the numbers are 5 by 7, it cannot be further simplified, so the denominator is 7 only, and the prime factor of 7 is 7 into 1. 7 into 1, so here the prime factors are other than 2 and 5. Okay, so if the prime factors are other than 2 or 5, so it is a non-terminating repeating decimal. Got it? It is what? Non-terminating repeating. And if the number is a non-terminating repeating, it is basically a rational number. Got it? It is very easy. Please remember the key point which I have told you earlier. Okay, so now if we see some common exam mistakes that are generally made by the students, some will first is the most common, that students generally don't simplify the fraction before checking for the denominator. Okay, आपको पहले you have to simplify the fraction, आपको पहले simplify करना पड़ेगा fraction को, then you have to check for the denominator. Okay, first is not simplifying the fraction. Second is thinking all non-terminating decimals are irrational. That is a blunder which students generally makes, that all the non-terminating decimals are irrational, and that is not a criteria. A non-terminating repeating decimals are basically what? Rational. I've told you earlier that a non-terminating repeating decimals are rational. Okay, third mistake is what? Forgetting to check prime factors or denominators. This is also a mistake that students generally make, that they don't check for the prime factors or denominators. Okay, so you have to check for the prime factors or denominators, then you have to judge by the prime factors that if the numbers are basically 2 or 5, then it is a terminating decimal. और अगर कोई भी नंबर जो भी इसका प्राइम फैक्टर आ रहा है वो 2 और 5 के अलावा हो, तब वो क्या होता है आपका इरेशनल, सॉरी 2 और 5 के अलावा हो तब क्या होता है आपका नॉन टर्मिनेटिंग डेसिमल. Okay, got it? Yeah, so now let's do some quick recap. The summary basically: rational numbers have decimal expansions. I have told you. अगर कोई terminating decimal expansion हो तो उसे check कैसे करते हैं? Denominator has only 2 and or 5. Okay, this is a key point. Thirdly, basically non-terminating repeating के लिए other prime factors present, मतलब 2 और 5 के अलावा. Got it? So yeah, so that's it for today's video. Now we'll meet in the next video. Thank you.